Welcome back to Bitcoin Commando. Now, if you've not seen the 5 videos that I've done in the presentation prior to watching this, then I'd strongly recommend that you do so, because it's invaluable knowledge for understanding the information that you're going to see in this video and also in part 2, which comes next. So in part 2, after this video, you're going to see a 30-minute presentation with from a very good friend of mine called Craven. Now, I swear he's going to blow your mind with this information, and if you really take heed of what he's telling you, then you have the opportunity, no matter what financial situation you're in at the moment, to completely change that over the next 2 years. Definitely the next 2 to 5 years, but over the next 2 years, without a doubt. Some of you, armed with this information, will go on and literally build family financial legacies that could span the next 100 years. And I do not say that lightly. For some of you, you'll take this information, you'll do nothing with it. But I promise you, if you watch that video, I have officially removed the right for you to say that you didn't know in the future, or that you did not have an escape plan, you did not have a backup plan, because I'm laying it down here now for you. So, first video, what you're going to see now is a conversation I had with another good friend of mine called Steve Hodder. He's going to give you an overview of Swiss Gold Global, the platform itself. Steve is otherwise known as the Bitcoin Captain, so we've got the Bitcoin Captain and the Bitcoin Commando, both in the same room. It's a good conversation, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But in this video, Steve's going to talk about how Swiss Gold Global has radically changed his view of how someone can get paid. You see, Steve has been paid every single day for the last year without fail. And he's not lifted a finger for that to happen. Sound too good to be true? Check this out. I remember over like the first year, I mean, you like showing us what you were doing, and so involved in other things, which I know a lot of other people will be, you know, when they're looking at this as well. There'll be loads of things going on in their life. But, you know, for a year, you're showing us these results, you're showing us these daily payments coming in, haven't you, you know, and we've just not really looked at it. And it's not until it starts to get to a higher amount that people do start looking at it, I suppose, yeah? So, is that what you found yourself?
Well, I think the beautiful thing is, I don't have to do anything on a daily basis to get paid. And I think that's probably everybody's dream, isn't it? To find something that's real, it's tangible, it's legitimate, it's transparent, it's honest, and yet you don't have to do anything at all to make money every day. And you know, I've been lucky enough to get my account up to around about $55 a day now. I'm getting paid.
I mean, we'll go through the figures in a minute with Amwar, won't we? But I mean, that is a serious amount of money in a short period of time, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, I really don't have any complaints, and all I can say to people is that when it comes to any online business opportunity, it's very important that you do your own due diligence and you check things out yourself, check the companies out, check the people who are behind the companies out, because that's where this company is like no other. It stacks up on all levels to any amount of scrutiny and due diligence, and that's why I'm proud to represent it, and proud to tell my family and my friends about it, because I know I can't predict the future with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but I think I can predict the future of the paper money in our pocket. That's going down and down and down and buying less and less and less as the years go by, and at the moment Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is going up and up and up and up and up. So hopefully that trend continues and we'll all be very, very happy.
I think going forward with this, I mean, what's your plans? How do you see this? How do you see moving it forward with Swiss Gold Global? I mean, what do you see in the future for yourself in the next 2-5 years, I say?
Well, for me, you know, I've been, you know, it was banking corruption that first started, you know, me on my journey to the truth and to find the truth. And so I don't trust any bank. In fact, I know that the banks can legally steal my money overnight if this debt bubble bursts, and it will burst because every Western government's in debt, every bank's in debt. So it will burst, and when that bubble does burst, I don't want to be a victim of them coming into my bank, taking, you know, to try and save their own skins for their mismanagement. So for me, It's Bitcoin mining and altcoin mining is kind of the more speculative side of what I'm doing that I really, really believe in. And also gold and silver. Gold and silver is the only way the rich and the wealthy have preserved their wealth throughout centuries and centuries is with gold and silver and property. But you can't exactly sell a corner of your house. You can sell a gram of gold or a gram of silver or an ounce of gold and an ounce of silver. So for me, that's quite important. So those three things give me a total route outside of the banking system, and I'm really happy with that. Absolutely.
I think, I mean, and also, well, you've been involved with Prem. You've been involved with at the company level as well, haven't you? How do you find it working? You know, with the company, and also Prem, who's an ex-banker. He's given you a lot of advice in this space, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've learnt a lot from Prem. He worked in the City of London. Dealt with people, you know, the mega wealthy, billionaires, millionaires, and I've learned an awful lot from him. But I think what I like about Swiss Gold as well is the owner himself is a bit of an activist. He understands what's real and what's not real out there. Very approachable, and you know, I really like that, because any CEO of a company as big as Swiss Gold Global, you know, who are selling gold into 40 countries throughout the world already, he makes himself available to you whenever you want to talk to him. That's really, really good, and it's a rare thing, because usually these guys make themselves untouchable and work through layers of management and
it's shown where we are, I think, in history. You know, you try to cover it in the earlier videos with regards to what we can learn from history. Yeah, history has taught us many, many lessons, hasn't it? But also we can look at where fortunes were made, where completely different paradigms were made along that way, you know, and this just really is one of those paradigms, isn't it? And at this stage, it really is like it was, you know, back at the point of the internet. You know, Google didn't come until like another 2-3 years later, did they? But who would have wanted Google shares at that point? And I think crypto is that. And I think I also put in the videos as well, a lot of people putting their head in the sand, so to speak. But that's definitely changing now. There's so much information out there, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think the one thing that people should really think about when they're looking to get involved in this, whether they buy a little bit of Bitcoin or whether they buy a Bitcoin mining contract with Swiss Gold Global, what they really should be thinking about is, for the first time in the history of mankind, or pretty much, I can now send you value without involving a bank, a central bank, without them being involved, peer to peer. Now, that's incredible, because we're all debt slaves, and so that in itself, nobody owns Bitcoin, nobody controls it. There isn't a president, there isn't, Mr. Rothschild with $1 trillion cannot come in and buy Bitcoin, and that means it's the people's coin, and that really is something. That's why you should own even just a little bit.
What do you think about the cryptocurrency market in general then? I mean, you obviously you've dipped your toe in this water quite a few times, and you know what's going on. Where do you see that? There's going to be a lot of losers, I suppose, in the future, and a lot of winners, yeah?
Reminds me a lot of the dot-com bubble. And I wasn't in the dot-com bubble, but
you watched it afterwards.
I watched it.
To a certain extent.
I watched it. I saw a lot of companies turn to dust overnight and stuff, but I wasn't involved in it, thankfully. And I think crypto is going to be pretty much the same. There's going to be some winners and there's going to be some losers. But again, for me, I'm not going to get involved in the altcoin side of things till I've got my Bitcoin side of things sorted, because Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that's been stress tested for the last 8 years. It hasn't broken. It's still going. It's a store of value. It's very much like gold, because there's a limited amount of supply, and when that's gone, it's gone. And of course, every Bitcoin can be split into 100 million bytes, but so that makes it possibly usable as a currency, but it doesn't have to be an everyday currency you're buying a coffee with. It can just be a store of value, and it'll still be
I think a lot
worth something.
I think a lot of the other cryptos that are following suit, you listen to like Ethereum and stuff like that, which are secure, but they have many other different options. It does seem that Bitcoin is like the liquid gold. It's the equivalent of gold, isn't it? And I can't see that changing forward. I mean, do you see that? I mean, obviously a lot of cryptocurrencies could get bigger, but in a sense,
There might well be another coin that comes in to the space that is used for daily transactions, like buying your coffee, buying your food, buying your breakfast, you know, your tea or whatever. There may well be. I don't know. I can't read the future. But all I know is that I for one, am heavily invested in Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin. The difference between Bitcoin and the altcoins is every single altcoin, to my knowledge, has a president, as an inventor, as an office. Right, so does that mean that they cannot be bought? You can't buy Bitcoin. So that to me is where my main focus is, and then the altcoins will come second. I do mine a little bit of Ethereum, but of course I'm well down the road with Bitcoin already, so I'm well set with that. So I do have a little bit of alternative mining going on, but for me, Bitcoin's where it's at.
Obviously, we're going to talk about as well this platform we're talking about, Swiss Gold Global. It's not obviously just for you people listening. It's not just Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, is it? Obviously the big focus of this company when it first started was gold and silver. Talk about in the earlier videos, you know, what's happened in the past and what possibly could happen in the banking sector. And obviously gold and silver is never to be discounted either, is it? You know, there's a lot of people out there that just, for whatever we say to people, they're never ever going to go into crypto, are they? But they can definitely see the value of gold and silver. And can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think it was 9 years ago when Swiss Gold Global, you know, came into being. You know, it's been going 9 years. It's cash rich, it's debt free, and it started with just gold and silver, right? Because gold and silver are a store of value and have been for centuries, as we touched upon just before. So, if you listen to people like Robert Kiyosaki and the other guy, Tony Robbins, they'll always say, you know, everybody should have at least 10% of their net worth in gold and silver.
Yeah.
Now, they're saying that for a reason.
Diversification is key, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also the fact that, you know, when you look at the dollar bills and stuff, right, they change regularly, but it's a piece of paper that costs maybe half a cent to produce. So actually, its value is based on confidence, not intrinsic value.
Absolutely.
Whereas gold, if you've got a gram of gold, it doesn't matter what they say it's worth compared to a dollar, which is ultimately fictitious currency, you've still got it in your hand and it's still real and it'll still be spendable tomorrow and in 1,000 years. We probably won't have a dollar bill in 20 years, never mind 1,000 years, you'll still have your gold.
I think that's one of the things that really drove home on me is when I realised that, you know, obviously the collapses have happened throughout history, haven't they? You know, and the one thing where you could literally take a store of value and carry it with you into whatever system comes up next, and it still retain its value, is precious metals. You can't get away from that. It's a fact, isn't it? So